Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, the World Bank provides $8 million EC in emergency grant funding for small businesses affected by Hurricane Maria. Residents of Jubla say, or rather appeal to government, that it's time to relocate them or make that a priority in 2018. The details of the news coming up. First stop in the news, 1,500 micro and small business enterprises to benefit from a $3 million emergency grant from the World Bank. An awareness campaign was launched on Wednesday to sensitize small business owners who suffered loss from Hurricane Maria as to the requirements for accessing the $5,300 micro and small enterprise emergency grant. The World Bank's $3 million emergency grant for small business development translates to $8 million EC. The money is meant for those in retail trade and services, food and beverages, manufacturing and agro-processing and construction.
Over the next 2 weeks, from today until the 24th, we will be inviting people to apply. You must have suffered loss from Maria for you to apply. And you have until, as I said, the 24th to make sure that you apply. We will be reaching out to all communities via the village councils so that people can have access to the application forms. We will also be launching our public relations, public awareness to ensure that people are well informed and that everybody can have, everybody that has been affected, everybody who has a small business that has been affected and meets the requirement can have access to the grant, can have access to the application form. So it's not going to just be in Roseau, but we're going to make sure that we reach out to all the communities around Dominica, the rural communities and around Roseau.
All requirements must be met before the application form can be completed.
And one of the requirements is that your business must have suffered loss or has been affected by Hurricane Maria. And how we verify that, we have been going around the country soliciting micro and small businesses to do an assessment of their damage. And we have these forms available in the ministry, so it will be an evidence-based document that will reaffirm to us that once you have filled out this form and you're saying, yes, you have suffered damage from Hurricane Maria, we can go into our database and find you. And that form will, if you're not in that database of persons who have registered with us to say that they were damaged, then it means that one of the requirements is not fulfilled, because you need to fill out this survey form that clearly articulates that you have suffered loss or damage from Hurricane Maria. We also want to say that the other requirement that is very, very important is that businesses must be registered with the Company and Intellectual Property Office. The government has a special office that is dedicated to ensuring that persons who have business register with the state. And as we say to the micro and small business, it only takes $90 to register the business. And it also helps us too. When they are registered business, we will have a clear database of all our micro and small businesses. So the requirements that are being asked of our micro and small business is nothing tenuous. It's also facilitating them and us, because we will be able to identify where they are as quickly as possible in our database when we have the information. And they too will begin to recognize how serious they need to take their business.
Businesses must employ between 1 and 20 individuals and must have been in operation prior to Hurricane Maria. Government previously made provision for larger private sector companies affected by Hurricane Maria through a special loan facility at the Aid Bank at 2% interest. In other news now, Jubla residents living near the coast, the low-lying, dangerous coast, are appealing to government to make their relocation a priority this year.
The people of Dubla were promised new homes in March last year when Prime Minister Skerrit addressed them at a town hall meeting, asking them to consider relocating to higher grounds. The threat of coastal flooding of low-lying houses resurfaced when Channel 5 News visited the community on Wednesday. One Dubla woman recently returned to her house near the bay after evacuating since Hurricane Maria.
Because once they say hurricane come in, I'm not taking chances. I leave and I go. Either by my daughter or by my auntie. Since 2011, my paper in with government for them to build a house for me. Because my brother gave me the land, he gave me a letter, everything. But if they would relocate me, I don't mind it, I would be happy.
Other residents are still picking up the pieces from the impact of sea swells during Hurricane Maria.
I live right by the bay, right by the bay there. Anything that can be done, I'll take it, because beggars are no choosers, right? Because, miss, 2 years ago we had a hurricane, and 2 years now we get another hurricane.
Have you spoken to your power rep about the possibility of relocating you?
Yes, we have talked about it for many times.
Most residents are in support of being relocated to a vacant property in the heights of Dubla.
We have a lot of land in the heights of Orara, where the English people had bought the land, but the land is just there, lying, nothing has been done. So I'm glad the government to take the land and relocate the people on the bay line. Every time we have hurricane, I get flood in my downstairs, you know.
What was the experience like during Hurricane Maria?
Well, it was bad. It was a bad experience because the river was right through the village. Yeah, it's just that the sea was rough as before, but it was a very bad experience for the whole community of Dubla. We had to be out during the hurricane, helping the elderly, people that couldn't move, we had to help them move out. And we had to run to the church, bring some people to the church. And then we had to shelter at some people home because when the second wind started, we couldn't move.
From my point of view, I feel the government should acquire this land and then sell it to the people or let them have something so that they could have a better future. Right now we're in an hazard through the sea and everything is very dangerous for us now.
In other news now, ahead of the second leg of competition, some level of discord has hit the Calypso community. Andrea Louis has that report.
Two issues have been raised thus far as the Dominica Calypso Association moves forward with the annual Calypso season. The first is with the eliminations. That competition took place on Saturday, 16th December 2017. Ahead of the show, announcements were made that the cutoff point for registration was Wednesday, 13th December. However, on the night of eliminations, an additional Calypsonian was put on the lineup and he made it through to the quarterfinals. Former executive member of the Dominica Calypso Association, Wilfred Intruder Peltier, says the events of that Saturday were unfair and go against the association's constitution.
What I am fully aware of is that we have a particular Calypsonian, Soulpuss. He did not register. Our list was supposed to be 60 for the night, and the registration was closed on the 13th day of December, and no more registration was supposed to be accepted from that date. And right on the night of the show, Soulpuss came in and they allowed him to perform, and there he is at the quarterfinals, which is wrong. And I would like the Calypso Association to stand up and be men and take him out from the quarterfinals, because it is wrong, and according to the Constitution, and plus we had a cutoff point and he was late, so latecomers must be punished. That is my opinion.
Channel 5 News sought to hear from the Dominica Calypso Association, and the Public Relations Officer for the DCA, Davidson the Observer Victor, explained that Soulpuss had in fact contacted the association on performing at the eliminations.
In terms of the Soulpuss issue, Soulpuss was out of state. He was in St. Martin at the time of the registration for Calypso. And what happened is that he corresponded with Sai, who is an executive member, and he told Sai to do the registration for him and so on, and then he sent down his music for Peter. Peter, who is one of the musicians practicing the elimination Calypsonians. So the band went on to practice his song because they were expecting him to come down the same Saturday. What Sai did not do on his part, I guess Sai got caught up because, you know, Sai is one of our senior police officers, and he caught up, I guess, caught up in all the work that police have to do. So that probably slipped his mind to register him. So it's only after when Soulpuss came down and then we meet as an executive, that is when Sai mentioned to the executive that, hey, he can remember Soulpuss had already told him to register him because he'll not be here at the time to register, but he'll try his best to come down on the Saturday, at least on the Saturday of this show.
The second concern for the season thus far is the return of former three-time Calypso king, Scrunter, to the quarterfinals round instead of starting at the eliminations as some past monarchs had done.
Honestly speaking, I have an issue with it because I remember a couple of years ago we had Singing Sandy and the Dice, and they had an issue of putting them in the quarterfinals. They had to go for elimination. Now, last season, Tasha P had to go to the eliminations as well. So if it is good for the goose, it is good for the gander. Tasha P is the first female monarchy of Dominica, and they show her no respect. If they didn't show it to Dice, they didn't show it to Sandy, why should they show it to Scrunter? Scrunter is a Calypso like everybody else. Yes, he's there for a while, he's three-time Calypso king, but Dice was how many times Calypso king more than him?
Channel 5 News also sought out the Scrunter, who had this to say on the issue.
Well, I think even in the time of one crisis walking the farm, there was controversy, so I expect anything from Dominicans as part of Calypso recipe to have controversy in it. I mean, I am qualified to be in the quarterfinals as a past king, not living out of state, but working out of state. And whenever you are king, not a flops king, a king, a 3 times king and kings of kings, I'm entitled for the privilege. Well, I could go for the immigration department, go through my passport, go through the immigration department. You could go through Liat files, you go through American and Jet Blue flies, and let me tell you. You know, because the competition was on the 16th, I was out of state for the 16th. I wrote to the association that I will not be there for that time, and I don't care. Trust me.
PRO of the Calypso Association also weighed in on the matter.
I'm going to try to make the explanation as clear as possible because I still think that there is some misunderstanding of what the rule is and what the situation is. Number one, the Calypso Association has a rule in place over the years that once you are a past monarch, a past Calypso king or monarch as we call it, if you are living overseas, if you are living overseas, or if you are overseas and is not able to come down in time, then you are given the opportunity to make a request in writing stating that your reason for not being able to come down at the time and requesting that whether consideration will be granted to you to go to perform at the quarterfinals. Now, in terms of the Scrunter indicated to us that he no longer really resides in Dominica because for the past time he has been working overseas. So his time spent is more or less in Florida. All right, so he indicated to us that at the time he'll not be able to come down for the elimination.
The quarterfinals round of the 2018 Calypso competition is slated for Saturday, 13th January 2018 at the Newtown Savannah. Reporting for Channel 5 News, I am Andrea Louis.
Still with more carnival news, the carnival costume band, which abstained from street parade last year, has vowed to return to the competition this year.
Carnival Corner, which is 22 years old, had refrained from participating in Mass Dominique 2017 due to a court matter, but is promising to make a return to celebrate a more traditional Mass this year. Public Relations Officer of Carnival Corner, Emmanuel Loblack, says due to the impact of Maria, the band will focus on a more cost-effective method of showcasing its costumes.
But what we are hoping to do, we're going to have this year, we won't have any costume. We are going to do pure traditional, which is sensei, Suswell Sui, and other things. That's what we are doing. Pure traditional costume, as usual.
So how does that work? Is it a case of the people bring the material and then you
No. Actually, the good thing about traditional costume, you don't throw it away. The sensei is being stored. The social suit is being stored. Unlike you do a costume, most people throw away their costume. So these things that you can secure that for a number of years, just to have it out in the sun. The same thing with the social suit. So these things is not as, in terms of it's not a one-off. Another one-off costume. So that's what this is our carnival, this is our mass, as they say about, it's traditional. All right, we are not a band in terms of going to promote any foreign culture.
When asked about only one prize, that is, the most creative band being awarded this year, Lil Black says creativity will have to be clarified so that bands know what the judges are looking for.
I'm always baffled with the word creativity. When you say creativity, the word creative means having an idea and conceptually the idea. You can't go and take a costume from Trinidad and bring it into Dominica and call that you are being creative. Okay? You must develop your own idea. All right? Come up with your own costume, your own material, your own design, then you are creative. But don't tell me you're going to Trinidad, collecting costumes and assemble it in Dominica, and you say that we are creative. No way.
With Carnival Jump Up approximately 1 month away, Lil Black is hoping that the authorities will do more to make it a success.
We are hoping that sanity can prevail within in the Carnival organizing committee, that they can come forward to assist us with music on the road, because this will be a major blow. I can tell you about that, because our sponsors are not as, how do you say that, in terms of well, they said that things are very difficult now, which I can understand. And if we really want to have Carnival, because it's unfortunate, this year is supposed to be a big, right, 40 years, and I think looking at the devastation, I thought that some serious thought could have looked in terms of postponing the Carnival. It's very, very early, 1 month away.
Mass Dominic 2018 is being celebrated under the theme, Celebrating Our Traditions. Reporting for Channel 5 News, I am Andrea Louis.
A long-awaited sight and probably a sigh of relief to many who live and work near the Rosa River. This river has been in dire need of dredging since Hurricane Maria over 3 months ago. At a press briefing back in December, Prime Minister Skerrit acknowledged the need for dredging, but he pointed out that at the time that part of the reason for the delay was a lack of the right equipment to do the job. Following Hurricane Maria, there was a critical need for heavy equipment to help in the cleanup, but sourcing the fleet and type of equipment needed presented a challenge.
So you may have some equipment, but you may have all of the same type and not the kind of equipment based on what I'm being advised upon. A company was able to bring some from St. Vincent, but even that they had to bring operators because we don't have sufficient operators in the country. So they had to bring operators and mechanics from St. Vincent and from Guyana to operate this equipment. Every piece of equipment in Dominica is engaged, from a bobcat to a D6 or D8. Every piece of it has been occupied in the cleaning and clearing effort. So I'm not aware of any equipment that's down. If any equipment is down, it has a mechanical problem, or the owner cannot find an operator. And also we have entered into agreement with another firm to bring in a fleet of equipment, and some of which are specific to the task of dredging these rivers in a manner in which it should be dredged, dealing with the large volume of galvanized material out there, because you do not have, for example, grabbers in Dominica to grab the galvanized and put it on the truck and transport it off and put it in. So all those pieces of equipment that we're taking to bring in to assist us with the dredging. But the anxiety level within the government is very high in respect to the rivers and the need for us to dredge it properly. But it's also going to have to be a continuous exercise.
In our efforts to get an update on the situation, the CTO in Public Works referred us to PS Edwards, who has promised to get back to us. It remains unclear as to whether the equipment the Prime Minister mentioned back in December has been sourced. And the learning experience is how the head of the local volleyball association is describing 2017. Last year, the Dominica Amateur Volleyball Association DAVA spent over 9 months preparing its male and female national teams to participate in the World Championship qualification tournament. And while Dominica was unsuccessful in advancing to the next round of competition, head of the DAVA Albert Loblack says the association has learned several lessons from the past year.
We had a major competition last year which we were training for, and that affected everything else of our operation. As you know, facilities were limited, and most of the players that we had on training, both male and female as a matter of fact, we were preparing for the third round of the World Championship qualification. So all our attention and resources were focused on that, and including that we did not have a national league last year. Though we had planned something for November, but we all know Maria, and that didn't work out. But basically, that was our major focus last year. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as well as we hoped, because we had a training program for about 9 months and so on, with a lot of interruptions. But I would say that it was a nice learning experience as well. You know, all in all, it wasn't just, you know, that we didn't do very well, but from the training right down to the competition, there were a lot of lessons to be learned.
Loblack says the association will do all in its power to ensure its players perform better at overseas competitions.
We are lacking the facilities. Hopefully we'll get one soon. We need to do what is within our power to come as close as possible. So one of the things that we can do, some of the things that we can do is, one, select the right people or with the physical ability and so on to form a national team to take part in a competition at that level. And two, training. We can prepare ourselves better, a longer period, whatever. Of course, with those things come tremendous challenges. With a long training period, there's a huge cost to that. But in terms of facilities, that was one of our items on our agenda to discuss, to approach either the regional, well, through the regional to the international body for some assistance in terms of trying to get our facilities, at least one facility, back on track so that we can get some volleyball in 2018. We're looking at trying to set up an area by January, I think by the end of January for sure. And one of the things that we're looking at to resume our activity is, before the hurricane, we had a business league going on, and a lot of the players from there have been asking when they're starting back. So we are going to look at starting back with that activity, the business league, continue it, and then from there, we also plan to have a league this year.
The DAVA president says among top items on the agenda for 2018 is increasing the number of youth who play volleyball at the national level.
2018 for the DAVA is basically to get back on track. But beyond that, one of the things that we'll be looking at is basically to restructure the way we operate. Restructure, when I say operate, I mean in a lot of areas, the way we train, the way we select our teams. One of the things that has been affecting us is that our youth level hasn't been that thriving, both in terms of the quantity and the female aspect of it. We have had youth male teams, but not female. So we want to concentrate on that as well. And also to replenish our senior national team. We need to go low. We need to go right down to the youth level. We also had plans of opening an academy. So that is on the cards as well.
The DAVA is also scheduled to hold its AGM on the 2nd of March. To end the news, the headlines again. The World Bank provides about $8 million EC to assist small businesses affected by Hurricane Maria. Residents of Dubla who are living in the low-lying areas are appealing to government to make their relocation in 2018 a priority. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel, also on tdnentertainment.net. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.